Welcome back. Another episode of Story Time, which I changed to Helmet Talk. You probably noticed that. I did change the name of the channel. I wanted to try and do something a little bit more fun for myself. So I thought, what if I had a Stormtrooper guest come in, raid my camera, and then make his own videos? And then I thought, what was the name of it? Cody Vents. I was like, God, YouTube, why'd you do that to me? So that was not the original idea. Was to make like, okay, I'm gonna take it back. The original idea was to make a channel where I just vent, and I'm like, yeah, that's good for me, but what about everyone else? So I decided I'm gonna do something about just not so much general conversation as much as it would be topics that are interesting, right? Now, I am dying on the inside, in my throat. I don't know what that's coming from. I want to get the water, but I don't want to leave the video. I'm like, that's so unprofessional, because this is obviously professional work. Anyway, so we're just gonna call this an episode of Storytime, featuring Helmet Talk, the channel name. I'll figure that out later. I wanted to tell you a story, shocker, of when I got my very first Game Boy game. Game Boy. When I got the Game Boy. Now, for those of you who know me, which is probably anyone that's ever subscribed is someone that actually knows me, the small things excite me, right? Doesn't take much to make me happy. So, when I was probably, oh my gosh, I was probably like 10 years old, and the Game Boy Advance was a very big thing, okay? And it should still be. I mean, that's like a classic console. I mean, that was like the first fun, portable console that could play two different types of cartridges. And that was the Game Boy Color, that was the Game Boy Advance, and I loved it. But this is how it happened. It's actually a pretty cute story. I was 9 years old, or 10 years old, which means my sister would have been 6. Oh my gosh, she was so small. So, and I mean, honestly, if you were to see the baby pictures, she was the cuter of the two. I'm not talking down to myself, I'm just talking down to myself, because my sister was the cutest one. So, her smile just like lighted it up the room, and lit up the room. And my English, great. We weren't like, my family's we've never been wealthy, but how many people have really been wealthy? Hang on. Didn't want to do that the entire video, so check this out. Fixed. What's up? Really? Anyway. So, again, I'm 9, my sister's 6, and we're living in a house in the Vancouver area. Not BC. I don't live in Canada. It would be nice, though. Nice change of scenery. A little more snow, a little less rain. Is that right? Anyway, I was collecting like Pokemon cards at this age, and I had very few friends in the area. Like, I probably knew 5 kids in the area that I lived in, and that's like in the neighborhood, and they were all just, we all had our individual quirks. Let's just put it that way. I'm not talking about like superpower kind of quirk. I'm talking about like I was the, believe it or not, I wasn't quiet. I was the sort of leader of the pack. Let's just say it that way. I always had an idea, so we would go and follow me. We would go do it. And I had another friend who was kind of like a recluse. He was sort of just the shy kid. Very odd family life, I have to say. Like, his entire house was completely overgrown with foliage. He always walked barefoot. And his parents, like, the dad was in a wheelchair, I think, and the mom was just very loud. And it was really awkward going into his house. But anyway, I wish I remembered the kid's name. He was a good kid. He had a lot of heart. But then there was the other kid who Uh, his family was well off financially, so he always got the latest and greatest of everything. There's always that kid in the neighborhood who's got the latest and greatest of everything, living with grandma and grandpa, happily retired, living in the limelight, whatever. And then there was the foreign kid. Uh, she was she was a sweetheart, Russian, I believe, and so her English was actually pretty good, but we didn't know her very well at all. She was just there. And then there was a friend that my sister had made, and she was the goofy, kooky, let's go do this personality, just someone who could kind of get along with anyone. So, anyway, that's just a little background on what my neighborhood was like. So, like I said, it didn't take a lot to make my sister and I excited. But when mom and dad wanted to go all out, they would go all out. And they would do it in such a way. My dad was so clever. Is so clever. When it came to surprising you, he had an entire practically a treasure map involved with this whole thing, right? So he's got a story behind it, characters involved. He will become the archaeologist, and then he will give you these plastic tools that he bought at the dollar store to go out into the backyard and then uncover a dinosaur. I mean, he'd go above and beyond. And it was the funnest things. We never went a day without a creative dad. And he was definitely where's this was coming from? He is definitely the most creative guy I've ever met. And so you have these two little kids with a super creative dad, and he wants to do something for his kids. And he knew that the new Game Boy had come out, the Game Boy Advance, and there were two colors. There was the transparent, or no, there were three colors. There was a transparent blue, transparent pink, the lavender, purple, and I'm not sure if white had come out yet and black, but I know purple was the first one that came out, just like with the GameCube. And then there was a bunch of games that had just come out for it. So now my favorite cartoon, God, you anime fans are gonna hate me for saying that, but my favorite anime, there we go, was Dragon Ball Z. And I was all about it. Dragon Balls, Goku, Gohan, the whole, Kamehameha, Super Saiyan, the anime was just still picking up pace and getting into, greener pastures and becoming even bigger, more evolved. And, but I was all about DBZ. I was obsessed with it. That and Pokemon. I was really into Pokemon. But Dad knew this very well, too. And so, and I'm trying really hard to remember, and I've got to find the picture, too. I probably should have got that. Darn it. Well, it has my sister in it. She probably wouldn't want her picture on Instagram. Social media. On YouTube. There we go. That'd be cool. And he had told us to go do something, and I think he gave us a map. It was like a scavenger hunt sort of thing. That's what I'm looking for. I don't remember the details of the scavenger hunt. I was 9, but I do remember that it was fun. I remember we had fun. And at the end of the scavenger hunt, obviously, is when the big prize is revealed, right? So my dad always, he could never take anything seriously. My dad always had a joke involved with the entire thing. So you go through this awesome scavenger hunt, then there's a prank. And then there's the gift. So, my little sister, I love her to death for this. Like I said, the smallest things made us extremely happy. My dad had wrapped up and put in the or not in the fireplace, but we had like a stove, a Kindle stove, and he took little cans of tuna fish, and he wrapped it up in wrapping paper, right? And I think he made a card too. I can't quite remember that part, but he puts it and he hides it behind the fireplace. Now we're following all the clues, and I think he was saying like, "You're getting cold, you're getting hot, you're getting cold," and we get these two little circular presents, and we're all like, oh my gosh, what did he guess? Is it a puppy? And here, my sister, she's opening it. I'm just like, we're gonna rip it up to shreds, and then I'm just like, what the honest, what? And then we're looking at it, and it's tuna, and I'm looking at it, and I have this look, huh? And then my sister, she's like, and she's excited, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, where? I'm, I mean, I am hungry, but, and then they took a picture, obviously, and then my sister kind of snaps out of it. She's like, what? And I looked at her, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but this isn't very funny. And my dad's busting up laughing. Like, this made the whole thing for him. So, then he says, wait a minute. I think I heard a knock at the door. And we're like, oh, there's a knock at the door? Is that, what? Where? And the door. And he goes, well, you guys are going to have to go to it. So we run over to the door, and guess what? 2 boxes, big boxes, wrapped up. We have no idea what they are. And then there's another small box wrapped up with it. And so we sit down, we're all excited, right? We got these little packages, and we're like, oh. And so I get my box, and I start opening it up, and my sisters beat me to the punch. She's like that. And like there's paper in the air, and there's like smoke and ash from the friction of her ripping this thing open, and it's a pink Game Boy. And I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I got. And then I love her so much. She starts crying because she's so happy that she got this. She was overwhelmed. This little 6-year-old girl got her very first game. Like, literally her first game ever. And I had like a GameCube in the past. Or wait, GameCube didn't come till later. I think I had a PlayStation. I had something. So I had never been without a console before. But this was the first time my little sister had one. And it was her very first Game Boy Advance. And I think she got like a Barbie game or something with it. Because she opened that up and she's like, ah! And so that was for her. And then I opened mine and I got the purple Game Boy. And I was like, oh, yes! And I started to get a little choked up. But my dad looked at me like, and I was like, I'm fine. And so I'm opening it up. And then there's the other box. So I'm like rattling it. And I'm like, oh, it's a game. And I start opening it. And guess what I got? I kept the box. And the game. And the manuals. And I even have the map. And the original game poster. Because I am nostalgic. Bam! The Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku. Yes. I saw that and I about threw everything I had on my lap in the air because I was so happy that I get to finally be Goku for the first time. And, you know, sure enough, I still got the cartridge. How cool is that, right? So, needless to say, that was probably one of the best days ever because that was just I look back on it now and, it was just this little Game Boy, a little cartridge, and a can of tuna. But I'll never forget it. That was one of the best memories I will ever have as a child. But I just wanted to share that with you because it's a very special moment for myself and my sister, especially her. Every family falls on hard times. You struggle, whether it's financially, emotionally, whatever. But my dad never ever gave us reason to worry. And moments like this were always a pick-me-up to help us get through whatever we were going through. Maybe we weren't even having a bad day, you know, maybe we were having a good week. But it was just him. That was just his way of saying, I love you guys so much, and I will do anything for you. And he never stopped doing things like this. I've got plenty of other stories of he made like tunnels and stuff, and you know, if kids were having parties and we were sick, we couldn't go, he'd do something for us, you know. But I got a bunch of other stories of scavenger hunts and stuff like that, and I'll tell you those later. But yeah, that was the story of how I got my very first Game Boy, how my little sister got her first console ever of all time, and how I became an even bigger fan of Dragon Ball Z. So, that is it. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did telling it. And as always, it's awesome to do these videos. I have so much fun with them. See you guys in the next one. Turning it off is the tricky part because